Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitch Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats, you with Donald and Luca. And the Yankees have kicked off the season in a dominant fashion as Max Fried has one he finally had. It was his first opening day W. And it was just brilliant on the mound, thanks to actually having some defense. The lineup up and down, 1 through 9, did their job. I know that we're gonna get into. I know a lot of people are sour with Judge's performance, but it is not the day for negativity because the Yankees are on the road to go 162-0, and it is. We got to kick it off in the manner of going over the presentation from Netflix, guys. It was absolutely. It was a complete mixed bag. There were a lot of positives about it that I enjoyed. We'll get your opinions on it as we go through some of the details. And there was just some things. It's like Netflix had no clue that this was opening day. I thought the theatrics with all the guests and the in-game interviews and was it Jameis Winston in the stands with the Usos and like what I don't care what you're snacking on. I want to watch a ball game. But I thought the opening ceremony, I actually tweeted this. I was actually tweeting from the Chronicles account, which I'm going to be trying to do a lot this year. So make sure you follow us on X at Stripe Chronicle. It's on your screen. Make sure you go and follow that. Everybody watching on X, appreciate every single one of you. I thought the drone flag, chef's kiss, perfect. I thought that was actually a really cool visual. I thought the players' intros also. I really liked the optic of it with the taxi cab and the trolley. For both teams, I thought that was very creative, well thought out. I think it hit the vibe of the two cities just right. So I was very happy to hear that, to see that, and I didn't think the broadcast was terrible. I'm not opposed to Matt Vasgersian. I think he's very knowledgeable in the game. Having Sabathia and Hunter Pence, respectable players from each team, alongside him, I thought that was also a very classy touch. And both of them brought a lot to the table. And we'll get into actually the interview with Manfred. I was like, all right, bathroom break. It's opening day. I'm in a good mood. I don't want to see his face. I don't want to hear his voice. But of course, the telecast from Netflix, I thought was it almost looked like a hologram from some angles. Overall, I would give the Netflix broadcast, I would give it a 6 out of 10. Because I thought there were a lot of upsides to it. On the score bug, absolutely atrocious. I don't like wearing my glasses, and I had to get my glasses just to see what the numbers were, and there was no pitch count on the score bug. Big L from baseball. We want to know how many pitches our starter is allowed to go. So there were a lot of things that could have been better, but we're not atrocious. I think they did better than Apple does. I thought they did learn make some improvements from Apple for the couple of games that I've been able to cash from them. But we'll go around the table. I want to get your guys' opinions. We'll get to some of the opinions that's going on in the chat. And if you want to join the chat, very easy. What we're going to do is hit that sub button, and you can get into the live chat on YouTube. Let's get that sub count up as we are entering year number 6, as we said the other day. But, Donald, what did you think overall? What was your grade on Netflix?
Probably it'll be a mediocre grade because there were some things that were really good, but there were some things that were just pretty bad too. I guess it's like a 5 or 6 out of 10 to whatever you feel. One thing I can say for sure is it's better than Apple. Thought it was much better than Apple. But my critique would be I think Netflix was trying to be too much to too many people. That's my
Excellent take.
I think that they were trying to be Thanksgiving NFL with the hot dogs at the end given to the 2 stars instead of a turkey, as they do with the NFL. You know what I'm saying? So like instead of Joe Burrow being given a freaking turkey feast like the last NFL Sunday, it was NFL Thanksgiving was this time we had freaking Trent Grisham eating a hot dog. I mean, like what am I looking at? What is this? What is happening here? So that was an L. I'm the constant need to remind us that NFL does the wrestling is unbelievable. Like we had a wrestling thing, and I mean I don't watch wrestling, so I mean you guys, you wrestling fans are gonna have to fill me in, but some wrestler just yelling and screaming. I mean, I don't know what was happening. I'm like, what am I looking at? Well, why are we looking at this wrestler dude? And then his saying whatever his saying is Yeezy or Yazzy or I don't know what he said. Anyway, it was stupid. So yeah, as I say, I think they're just trying to sell the almighty dollar to us too hard. It was kind of like they were like, please get a Netflix subscription and watch wrestling and all that stuff. There was just too much going on. It was too much pageantry. It took half an hour before we even got to the ball game. And a lot of the time people were just standing around taking pictures and stuff. And I'm like, come on. What did we have? We had the hand from Wednesday.
We didn't even show.
Do the opening. Yeah, and we didn't even see it. So, I mean, obviously the opening stuff, I think it was just too much pageantry, right? But what I will say, on a positive note, I thought the guy that did the national anthem was freaking incredible. It was a beautiful national anthem. It was spectacular. So salute to him. I actually messaged Luke at the time and says, can I just listen to that guy sing instead of watching my mediocre ball club? I thought he was amazing. I actually quite liked the take me out to the ball game montage. I thought that was quite a nice, like, family kind of a thing. I thought that was pretty cool. It was nice. It's kind of like bringing everybody together. I thought that was kind of a smart thing to do. So, like, there were some aspects to the pageantry and all that stuff which were kind of cool. But as for the broadcast itself, I thought the announcers were excellent. Verstergen is probably the best. He's probably the best announcer that we have now. And Hunter Pence and CC were really good. So like no arguments there. I thought the announcers were great. I hate the in-game interviews though. It reminded me of an ESPN broadcast. I mean, come on. I don't need to hear what Jazz's constant thoughts are standing there at second base. He seems like a nice dude, like a really fun dude, but I don't need to listen to it during the game. And also there was other interviews that actually cost us important things that were happening on the field, which we didn't get to see, like the very first ABS challenge.
I want to dive into that too. Yeah,
that's a massive L. The score bug was a massive L. There was a bunch of times where there was no score bug at all.
The split screens had no score bug.
There was nothing. There was plenty of time where there was a screen with nothing at all, and you had no idea what the count was, who was in, who was out. So that was a massive L as well. And also, I thought the vision, it was weird. It was like really hazy. It was really weird, in my opinion. Like the actual vision itself, I don't think it was very clear. It looked kind of like hazy, as you say. It kind of was like a hologram at times. So there was a lot of times where it was pretty bad, really bad. And and also the fight. If you took the bathroom break during during the commissioner's interview, I can't blame you, because imagine having the commissioner of frickin' baseball, where months in the future there's going to be something known as a CBA that might lock out baseball as a sport for at least a year, right? And you have your commissioner sitting right there, and you're asking him what his first ball game was.
Softball interview.
Come on. Well, you're not even doing your job. Let's be honest. You're not doing your job. If that's your question, what was your first game, Commish? Oh, cool. 1962 Yankees. Oh, great. Gives a fuck. In 6 months' time, there's not going to be any baseball unless something's going to happen. So are you confident that something's going to happen? You're not. Just left it. It's like you left the elephant in the room. So that was a massive L. But overall, I thought it was fine. It was a little bit too much pageantry. It was kind of like it was a Thanksgiving, ESPN, Sundays, Super Bowl, all wrapped up in one. And it was too much to too many people. But I will say, it kind of got you moving. It kind of got you kind of like in the spirit of things. And so I'll give them those flowers.
Luca?
First of all, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Donald, you mentioned the guy who did the national anthem. First of all, salute to him. That was really good. Yeah. I literally just saw this on X. Apparently, there's a play. Well, I know of this play. It's called Hamilton. It's a Broadway show up in New York. Apparently, one guy from Hamilton who portrayed George Washington forgot the words to the national anthem at the Mets opening day game. So
I was going to bring it up, but I wasn't. I'm glad you did.
We had the benefit of the doubt. Great job. Salute to service. Regardless, not the point. Also, another thing, production note, before I get to my thoughts, there's a new Yankee commercial starring Larry David. So I'm going to have to check that out afterwards. So pretty good. Pretty good. That's what the Yankees win was. Anywho, I'd say mediocre as well. I think here's the point, right? I think Donald's analyzed it perfectly. Yes, Larry David. The energy was there, trying to get everybody hype and the crowd stuff.
Yeah.
I just thought a lot of these segments were too drawn out. Like, okay, can we just get to the game? It was just too long. Like, the guy that was pumping up everybody before the game, his name is Bert Kreischer. He is a comedian. He's a podcaster. It's just like, okay, we got you, bro. It's a little too much. Let's get to the game.
I don't just see him in a kayak.
Yeah. I do think the presentation of the trolleys versus the cabs were obviously very much reminiscent. Essentially, example
significant to the regions they play.
Yeah, symbolizing. I think also with Jey Uso. Yes, he's a wrestler. He's from San Francisco. Is he really a baseball fan? I don't know. Armin can answer that. Like, how many times do we have to show him? And here's the thing, right? I could care less about the Manfred interview. I don't care what he's got to say. Never really cared. Never will. But, like, if we want to hear somebody like Barry Bonds, right, who's been blacklisted from the game how many years, don't do it during the game, please. Have it do it post-game. Do, like, a special interview pre-game, something like that. Give Barry Bonds his time. Don't let it interrupt the game. That's ridiculous. It just didn't make any sense to me why they would have that during the game. But again, that was very reminiscent, Donald said, of the ESPN broadcast. Just don't do that. Don't bring it back, please. Same thing with Jazz Chisholm. Let the man play the game. Like, do you ever see during, like, NFL or NBA games where they're interviewing the players while they're playing? Like, yes. Like,
that'd be interesting.
NBA games, for example, they'll talk to the coaches. When they're in commercial, the interviews are done during commercial, and like, okay, hey coach, what's going on? Major adjustment, blah 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 blah. Okay, that's not really interrupting you during the game per se, because the coach is not coaching while he's talking to you. Same thing for the players. You're not talking to the players while they're playing the game. Why does MLB not get that hint? I don't understand. So I don't think even hockey does that. So MLB needs to get off of that. The production, I did like the scoreboard, but if you could clearly tell that this was his first go for Netflix in terms of how many times you did not see it. So that's on the production team for that one. The broadcast team, Hunter Pence killed it. CC killed it. Matt Vescursion's good as usual. I have no complaints about that. But I just think certain aspects where they tried to get creative, I think they could have been minimized. There's no reason us three, Yankee fans, Giant fans, baseball fans, watching Netflix for the first time in terms of baseball content should have to wait 25 minutes before first pitch.
Yep.
Beautiful point.
I just want to also add in real quick one Netflix FU because I also found out that the Field of Dreams game this year will be on Netflix, and they will also be hosting the Home Run Derby. I still have to confirm that, but I'm like, I caved because it's opening day. I had the day. I'm like, I gotta watch the game. I can't listen on the radio. I might as well go to work if I'm going to do that. So I caved and got the subscription for Netflix, and now I'm like, well, shit. Well, I love the Home Run Derby, so if they're going to be having the Home Run Derby, I got to hold on to this thing now. I can't keep canceling and resubscribing. This is all screw up my banking. So I'm like, all right, I guess you fucking got me. So mission accomplished for Netflix, for one person. But no, I thought that, a lot of the theatrics, I don't need to see a guy. I don't need to miss 3 batters, 2-3 batters because you want to interview some guy in a kayak and become a cop.
Oh my God!
Right? And can we also talk about the fact that they came back from commercial with Cody Bellinger already standing on first base?
Yes. It's like, what happened?
Can you time it better? You could see the batters coming up to the plate. Can you apologize to the sponsor? Go, look, we ran out of time. We'll get you later. This is a live event. You can't schedule the length of your commercial breaks. I thought that was one that pissed me off just about more than anything. I'm like, what the fuck happened? How many pitches were thrown? Because you couldn't see a pitch count to begin with.
That's true.
Like,
yeah, you have to play.
What the hell happened? How did he get on first?
You're right. And also, there's times where the camera couldn't catch up to what was going on.
Yeah,
like if there was a hit, and the camera was and then you're like, oh shit, what's happening here? It was like I thought the production crew was terrible. Like,
yeah, like I said, the broadcast crew I thought was great. I want to see more from Sabathia.
He had no idea what camera was meant to be at what area. Luca knows that shit better than I do now that he's working behind the scenes. But I thought the production crew was pretty terrible for a live event.
Yeah, this was clearly their first go at it. And, like, here's the thing I don't understand, and this is me, the producer, talking. Like, you guys, like, baseball doesn't exactly have a hard out of when they're supposed to be back, into the game or a hard in. I mean, I don't know their schedule per se, but, like, as Tat said, couldn't you wait on the sponsors, or could you maybe have gotten to the sponsors a little quicker to where fans could actually see the game and you don't miss an at bat? That just didn't make any sense to me. That's like you have to play a guessing game, but this was clearly a first go of it for the production crew. So
yeah, for sure.
Tats was muted.
Guys, letting the dog in. But no, you could definitely tell that this was their first go around for it. That's why I'm trying to, like, after the game, my temper was like, are you fucking kidding me? You're like, you know what? Sometimes that's the benefit of, not doing, a live show right away. But and we're gonna spend a lot of the time in the rest of the show talking about the game itself because it was a great game from the Yankees' perspective. But I think that Netflix is smart enough to learn from this, and I'm curious to see how the production is adjusted for the next baseball broadcast. And I can see that. I can see them almost getting into the same category with Prime, where they're going to have more games. I think next year they're going to have more games on Netflix. They're just they're that juggernaut of an app where they can afford to do that. But I think the time of the game, the game right now, like the game itself, because of the clock, the game is moved pretty quick. So the 8 o'clock start, I guess it really wasn't. When you're watching it at home, wasn't felt too much.
That's true.
So the Sunday night games are at 8 o'clock anyway, so it's not like it's a time frame. As much as we bitched about it the other day, when you get a moment to kind of sit back and evaluate, ESPN on Sunday nights an 8 o'clock game, so it's not like it's a time, a start time that we've never seen before. It'd be maybe at 9 o'clock it would have been more of an issue. But I think that I that's why I said I give Netflix a 6 out of 10. They have a lot of things to clean up. I thought the pregame was extremely drawn out. You don't need an hour pregame. I thought that was like 7 o'clock. Like, I'm not sitting here for an hour. Just to watch get a bunch of promos for them to kind of pat themselves on the back of all their great shows that they have.
I know. I'm surprised we didn't get a Squid Game.
I got eat dinner. Family time. I'm only home a couple days a week. So
I'm surprised they didn't go all the way and had like a Squid Game mask and had freaking Walter White from Breaking Bad walking in and freaking the whole. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised it didn't go all in. Nick and Vanessa Lachey and all that shit coming out. I'm surprised it didn't go all the way with the Netflix shit.
But it's I didn't think it was completely terrible. There's still a lot of things they need to work on, that they need to fix. I want to, before we get to the game, because we talked, a lot's been said about the on-game interviews. There are two things that stood out to me during the in-game interviews. One was the on-field one with Jazz, and I kind of I like the fact that they asked him, you're constantly moving your feet, and he went into detail of his game mentality of why he always keeps himself moving. Obviously, we all know he was going to compliment Max Fried, who was phenomenal. They and every player says the same thing, but they asked him about his 50-50 prediction of that target that he put on himself. I had to say, I kind of liked his response, saying, don't shoot for the moon, shoot for the stars, and push yourself to do better than you've already done. It was what I took out of that part of it. And I'm like, you know what? Good for him. He's constantly pushing himself to get to the next plateau. You can't hate a man for that. We do it all the time on here.
That's true. Actually, you know what? He sounded pretty good, and he seems like a really nice guy. Surprisingly humble, considering the big talk that he does, which really annoys us and really drives us insane. When he's actually talking, he seems like a really nice, humble dude. So I just wish that he would just channel that energy all the time, rather than being a bit loud at times. But no, I thought he was fine. I thought he came across fine. Even though I don't agree with interviewing someone in the middle of the game, like, how could you possibly focus on what's going on if part of you is talking to people in your ear? It's just like, it's not easy to do. So you can't really be properly focused. But anyway, let's get into the old ball game, baby.
Well, can we take a quick sidestep also to the Barry Bonds interview? And we got to bring up the story he told about George Steinbrenner.
Okay.
All right. Steinbrenner, I mean, you talk about an owner with a set of fucking brass balls to say you have till 2 o'clock. Barry Bonds hangs up on fucking George Steinbrenner and goes, what? and closed the Giants and said, "All right, what can we do?" I mean, to think that it was that close to being possible for Barry Bonds to be in the Bronx.
Oh my god.
You know, it makes you wonder, you know, what was that offseason? The 92, 93 offseason?
Mhm.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think
where the
I was
fortunes of the Yankees would have gone if he accepted that offer. Like you wonder where the alternate timeline could have been.
if I'm not mistaken, people were saying on Twitter that was the same offseason the Yankees were chasing Maddox and Barry Bonds. Instead, the Yankees ended up with Wade Boggs and Jimmy Key, but they actually won championships. So that was
Yeah.
a nice return on investment. Not saying Barry Bonds wouldn't have won a championship with the Yankees. I certainly think he would have, but the alternate reality there actually worked in the Yankees' favor.
I would have loved Barry Bonds.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my god, that would have been fun. On that short porch. Oh shit, you would have hit 1,002 home runs. Oh boy, that would have been fun.
Now, Healy doesn't believe the story. Now, my counter question would be like, I don't know. I know you look very young on the camera. I don't know your age and how invested you were in the headlines during George's era, but hearing Bonds tell it, that sounds like George all the way. It was a very, very realistic told story. Oh, he's 42. Well, you're 42. You don't look 42. You look more. You look younger than me.
Young 42,
Actually,
my
way
guy.
younger than me.
No, Buster Olney confirmed it. He confirmed this story.
Okay, all right. I mean, I believed it off the bat. I don't think Bonds would put a story out like that if there's no validity to it. But let's get to the in game. It's we got to start with the starter, Max Fried. I mean, what a start. You know, you think you're looking at the first couple of batters and you're like, oh the fuck, here we go. You know, and with the help from his defense, you know, and once he found his cutter, there was nothing they could do about him. But I mean, for Max Fried to pull out a start like that, we haven't seen a shutout on the road on opening day from a Yankee since I think this is 1967. So credit to the pitching staff, not even just Max Fried, but Max Fried. I really wish I knew what the pitch count was because they weren't mentioning it. Like what? And I shame on me for not even looking it up. Because
he ended up with 86 pitches.
Over 6 1/3. That's actually that's a solid out. I can't argue with that. But usually see around 80, between 85 to 90 on an opening day is when they'll pull the plug. So it lines up with the way that starting traditions go. I don't think you could have kicked off the season from him any better. That he did on Wednesday night. I thought he was phenomenal. He didn't have all his stuff, but he was able to, navigate through a couple of innings until he found what was working. And that's the kind of confidence that you want them to see. You want to see in them to kick off a season that they're able to have those in-game adjustments right out of the gate. I thought that was a very telling thing.
Absolutely. I think Fried looked solid as hell. After he got out of the first inning jam, he was pretty much in lockstep. Again, he wasn't like overpowering guys for strikeouts and whatnot, but he really didn't need him to. A lot of contact outs. He struck out 4 batters over 6 1/3. As Tat said, the pitch count was pretty solid for what he did over 6 1/3. Went basically opening day, 85, 86 pitches. That's where they stopped him. I think Boone held him to a good amount. Didn't overpitch him, didn't underpitch him because I just saw a comment. Boone should have kept Fried in for one more inning, got lucky. I don't think so. I think he was fine. I think Fried was fine. I mean, took him out after, I think, 1 out basically in the 7th. Yeah, he did his job. He did his job. You really can't complain what Fried did. If I'm not mistaken, Fried hasn't exactly had a lot of success starting opening days.
It was his first opening day win in his career.
Yeah. This is his first win opening day of his career. I thought this was obviously a complete anomaly to the past, but gives him confidence moving forward. As I said on Wednesday, Freed is the one you can rely on amongst all the questions of the rotation. He's gonna, what you're gonna get out of him day in and day out. Thought he pounded the strike zone well. There's not really much you could say about Freed. Then it was a very, very solid outing.
Donald?
Freed was phenomenal, man. His location was fantastic. He was just so in the zone. He was terrific. And you know what? I think that you guys, I'm thinking back to the predictions that we all had.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that your predictions are probably going to be spot on. I do think that having watched that maybe my absolute handle this offseason clouded my judgment a little bit, because there is a team here. There is a very good team here. And there's a very good chance there's going to be like mid-90s wins. It could happen. It could happen. So you guys' predictions, I think, well, Luca, you had like, how many wins did you have? Like 93? 94, something like that. Yeah, I can, you know what, I'm starting to think that might be really the way to go there. I still think that postseason, absolute DS and out, but there is a team there. Like, they dominated game one. They absolutely dominated. And another good sign, and a lot of people are mentioning this, they did this without Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge was basically useless, and they still put up 7 runs. So, and they hit around. So imagine what's going to happen when Aaron Judge does go nuclear, which he will at some point in the next few weeks. Imagine that. So that's a really good sign, because that's something I was worried about. It's like, why would anyone pitch to Aaron Judge? And B, why would anyone give anyone any pitches to hit to the rest of his co-stars? But they all hit around. So I think that's a pretty good sign that there's something there too. I still hate the bullpen, and I still hate like the bottom end of the rotation, but I don't think that's going to be a big deal, because sooner or later Garrett Cole and Rodon will be filling out the rotation too. So I think the rotation is going to be pretty dominant, and there's less pressure on our offense to have to put up huge numbers, because if you've got Max Fried on the mound every other day, and then you got Cam Schlittler on the mound, Cam Schlittler is going to be a beast this year. Then you're guaranteed really good starts there. Rodon's going to come back soon, and he's going to put in good starts. And then Garrett Cole's, well, I mean, I want to have limited expectations of Garrett Cole coming back from Tommy John, but and then you have, Luis Hill, who I've always been a big fan of. I think he's a beast on the mound. So he's going to come back at some point once you have a full 5 rotation. So there's going to be a rotation here. So I think there's a good chance that there's going to be a team here. And game one kind of solidified that for me. That was a heck of a performance. Now, I also have to remember that although it feels like it's a bigger game than it is, it's actually just one game out of 162. And then there's another 161 games after this. So there's been plenty of examples of teams that have just blown the cover off the ball, hit the cover off the ball in game one, and then just went back to being who they actually are the rest of the season. So that's the thing about baseball. It's hard to tell, but it's a great start. They played great. They locked in, and yeah, this could be a good team here.
Yeah, I mean, I know Healing's saying. I just want to say this real quick, Luke. I don't. Healing's saying, Logan Met had a crappy game, and it happens. Like Paul Skeens got knocked out in the first inning yesterday. Is he the worst pitcher in baseball right now? No. That's probably going to be the worst first inning he has in his entire career. All right. Now we talk about. Look, we're excited about the win because one, we weren't expecting the outcome of the game and the contributions within the game to be what they were. So that's the surprise. Not the fact they won a game. They've won games. And do we know if this is going to be an absolute telltale of how the entire season is going to go? No. You know what team has the highest win percentage on opening day? The New York Mets. You know, they have 2 World Series.
That's pretty accurate.
So opening day does not narrate your entire season. And no, I'm not saying that just to pick on the Mets. The stat is what the stat is, you know. But you know, it's we have one game and then an off day. You know, there'll be an afternoon game today. And quick plug, Chris Northrup will be doing her Northport show, a Shoreport show, at 1 p.m. today. The link's already set up. Make sure you go and hit that notification bell and join her as soon as she goes live to preview this afternoon's game. And it's we want to take all the optimism from this win.
Make his point because Luka wanted to make a point.
Yeah,
but
I know I was starting to ramble. Yep.
Oh, I was going to say in terms of the Yankee I mean. We can mold this into the Yankee offense a little bit because I know Healing Man's Hearts brought up Logan Webb. Thought me and Don were texting back and forth. We're like, okay, Grisham just struck out first inning. Judge just struck out. How many struck? I think I don't. Yeah, he didn't strike out the whole side. He didn't strike out the whole side. He struck out the first 2. Then Bellinger flew out to left. Like, okay, what's the over under? How many strikeouts for the Yankee lineup? And they only struck out. Yes, they struck out 12 times, but they also manufactured the runs aplenty. Shout out Trent Grisham, big triple. Giancarlo Stanton, 2 for 4, big hits. Caballero had a big hit. McMahon had 2 RBIs. So it was as Donald said, without Judge, it was well distributed. Can we talk about because it's one game? We can only react based on what we've seen. So that's what we're seeing. The Yankees had a very more complete team victory. Bullpen held it down. Fried held it down. The offense was good. They weren't swinging for the home run. They got on base when they needed. Just Jazz Chisholm stole a base. They were mostly sound in the field. You guys see that grab that Jazz Chisholm had a line drive. Yeah. I literally thought it was a ground ball. I was like, did he freaking bobble the ball again? No. Ball, he picks it up like this. It's like, oh, barehanded.
You see his face though? He was like, I actually caught that.
Like, that was funny. It's like
that's the Jazz I want.
Yes, exactly. It's a great hand-eye coordination. Yes, FJ's right. He did score on a base hit from second base, which was amazing. But yeah, it was well distributed the offense, and then. Yes, I'm going to say this again. We can only react to what we've seen. We obviously have to temper expectations because game 1 162, but you want a balanced offense. You don't want one guy carrying the load. Also, shout out Austin Wells. He was 2 for 3 and walked. So kudos to him as well. And I think he called a very good game.
Let's talk a little because we all champion Big G. So this is a great opportunity for us to rub it in those who don't like Big G's faces. Hold that. Hold that. That's all I got to say about that. Big G was fantastic. 114 mile an hour RBI off the bat. Like he absolutely mauled that. And then, what about his wheels? What about his wheels running from second base? He scored. Like, oh man, he's ready to go. He is ready to go. So I don't care that he can't open a bag of chips because he can hit the fuck out of a baseball. And that's all I care about. That's all we're paying him to do. Hit the crap out of the baseball. He does it better than anybody else. Let's face it. He hits it harder than everybody else in the sport. That's what Big G does. So I'm very happy for G to shut up the haters for a bit. He was great. I thought Rice was pretty decent at first base. Made a couple of grabs that were pretty good. So I think maybe the work that he's doing behind the scenes with Goldschmidt has been maybe helping him a little bit. He looked pretty solid there. I thought Wells called a good game. I thought, by the way, my Wells prediction was so close. I had him hitting a home run, and he only had it foul pole by that much. I was like, come on. So no, I thought everybody swung the bat great. Apparently, apart from Aaron Judge, which is not, which it sounds like I'm framing it a negative way. It's actually a positive thing because I know Aaron Judge is going to come round. I'm not stupid, Michael K. I know he's going to come round, and he's going to hit the cover off the ball. And when he does, then the rest of the offense is only going to be better for it. So I thought there was a lot of positives. I thought Boone managed the game well. I thought everything was fine, and that's why I'm so sort of like, wow, all right, maybe my deep anger at Brian Cashman has slightly clouded my viewpoint, but I still know this team isn't a World Series team, but I also know that this team's pretty good. It's going to be good, and I think there should be a lot of wins. If they continue to play like this.
I think that's one of the reasons why, like I said, we only have one game to go on. But like I said, it was the in play throughout the game that kind of has us in a better mood on a Friday. It could have been a 7-0 rout with the usual suspects at the plate, but it wasn't. Yeah. After, Jazz had that, kind of, it almost looked like a forced throw to first, and, like there were one or two instances, the bobble from Caballero, it's short, there were a couple of, one or two times where the defense could have just, caused an unraveling of the good vibes. And, the pitching and the defense, along with, the hitting up and down. You scored 7 runs against, 6 earned against Webb, who is one of the better pitchers in the American League. He's not, I don't think he's talked about it enough. He's got incredible numbers, at Oracle. You were able to get to him on a lot of at an aggressive pace because there were a lot of first pitch swinging that they got hits on. So
they were targeting his thing.
They read his change up like nothing.
Yeah, they were targeting his sinker. They had a good game plan. They were targeting his sinker, and they were just mauling it. And I actually got more out of the fact that they were hitting round without relying on like 3-run home runs or 4-run jack job grand slams. That was like, it was kind of old school. It was some stolen bases. It was being aggressive and targeting a pitch that clearly he just wasn't locating, and they just hit around singles, doubles, and a triple from Grish, by the way. So you know what? Flowers to Grish, and especially because he screwed up a fly ball in center field, which was a 95% catch.
That song was brutal, though. I can't kill him for that.
Yeah, but he didn't make the play. Yeah. And I was wondering, I was like, is that gonna be in his head? Is that gonna no, because I forget Grisham is just too cool for school. So the next at bat, bang, triple, forgot about it. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot to like. There was a lot to like in game one. If they continue to play like this through the rest of the season, then there won't be too much to complain about. I'll tell you that.
Well, I thought, the at bats alone, I thought were I think you could tell they did their homework on the pitching. They saw that, like you said, you didn't have a sinker. His changeup was flat, so they were able to take advantage of that. But you put up 7 runs with 0 home runs, and without the captain even reaching base. And I think that was a very telling thing. The bottom of the order was phenomenal. They were locked in. McMahon. I think Gabby did really well.
It's my boy.
Can we take it? I want to get Lucas' take. More on the offense, but I do want to get into that. I mentioned Caballero with the ABS challenge, and just the sequence of the pitch. Was it the right time to do it? Why did were you expecting the ABS call earlier in the game? later. But Luca, a little more of a dive on the offense from you.
I must say about the Caballero thing, they were all not probably just in that bad at bat, but there were other pitches. It's a minor complaint. It's the first game of official ABS.
Mm-hmm.
There were probably other couple pitches that I thought could have been challenged. I think there's like a pitcher, Bellinger. There was a high pitch to the judge. I think that could have been challenged. But it's just a rather minor detail. But I'm going to go back on my point once again about the offense. It was very balanced. Trent Grisham had a big triple. Noteworthy that he's the first Yankee to hit a triple. I think it was on the road or in general since Johnny Damon on opening day in 2009 against the Baltimore Orioles. That is a wicked stat. Bellinger was fine. I mean,
World Series back on.
Yes,
that's right.
Back on. It was like 2009. But yeah, shouts to Stanton scoring a run from second. Shouts to Chisholm. I thought he was very patient in his approach. Caballero had a nice day. McMahon was walked in, had 2 RBIs. Austin Wells. It was the bottom of the lineup that did surprisingly well. I mean, the hits were basically littered, but you look at that bottom of the lineup. Caballero 1 for 4. McMahon 2 RBIs, 1 for 3, and a walk. Austin Wells had a walk and 2 was 2 for 3. So your bottom third of the order was not half bad.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. What was your thoughts on Aaron Judge? I mean, are any of you guys concerned?
No,
not concerned at all. It's one game. You know, yeah, you had the golden sombrero. It's not the best look, and I saw a lot. There's 29 other fan bases that want to just shit on this guy constantly, on top of the media and everybody else at MLB that wants to, point everything out that he does wrong, but never Shohei. That's that's a topic for another day.
Did you guys? To add to Tats's point, sorry to interrupt, Tats. Did you see on Barstool they literally had a headline: "Is Aaron Judge washed?"
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's so stupid. I know.
That's like right out of the ESPN playbook.
Yeah, it is. It's hot take central. It's like, yeah, that's like from First Take. It's like Stephen A. would be screaming that. Yeah, you're right.
Like it's one fucking game. I mean, geez, I'm not gonna kill a guy. He had a bad day. It's the next game. He can go 3 for 4 with 3 home runs and win the game for us. That's just Judge.
In this time last year too. Don't forget that he was like awful for the first 3 weeks of the year, and then
last year in April, I think in the start he started the first month of the year last year hitting 209.
Right, exactly. He couldn't hit.
Even worse the year prior in April, and then he won MVP.
Exactly, and then he starts hitting like 17 home runs in a 10-game span. Like he just goes insane. So, I mean, I'm not worried about that. Although I will say, people like clutching pearls over him getting booed or him getting criticized. Stop it. Stop clutching pearls. At the end of the day, Aaron Judge is not any more special than the ones that came before him that got held to an incredibly high standard. That's the truth. A-Rod, I remember, man. A-Rod went through hell with the media and the fans every single day. He didn't help himself. I agree, but for a long time, there was such a spotlight on that guy. It was nothing he couldn't do right for doing wrong, A-Rod, right? And Patrick Ewing got booed, and he was the freaking face of the Knicks through the 90s. And I mean, Eli Manning went through hell every Sunday that they didn't win a game. It was like, should he be dropped? Is this a bust? Blah, 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 blah. He wins the Super Bowl. And then a couple months later, it's like, is he a boss? I mean, it's like he couldn't do right for doing wrong either. The media is very harsh, and the fan base is very harsh in New York. It is. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, I'm afraid. So to clutch pearls because Aaron Judge is a nice guy, I think is nonsense. He deserves as much blame and as much criticism as everybody else. It's just that's the way. And when you got the C in your jersey and you're the captain of the team and you are the face of New York sports, I am very sorry, but you are going to get the most criticism. You're just going to have to accept that. And I think he does accept that. But there's people like Michael Kay that is clutching pearls going, how could you do this? And I'm just give it a break. Give it a break. It's okay. There's no issues. You know what I'm saying? He's still going to be Aaron Judge, and he's still going to wake up the next day, and he's still going to be a great player. But I'm sorry, he does deserve some criticism when it comes to the big moments. He looked like shit in the WBC, and he's getting booed for it. Fine. I wouldn't boo him, but I totally get it because he looked like shit when he was representing the United States of America. People are still pissed about that. I think that was a lot to do with the boos that he got in San Fran, by the way. And that's okay. Guess what? How else are you supposed to let him know that he played like shit? It's okay. And when he starts raking, which he will, then everyone's going to be praising him and be dressed in freaking judge's garb and in the judge's chambers and buying 99 jerseys and 99 burgers and 99 everything. So let's all chill out. It's fine. If he got booed, who gives a shit? At the end of the day, it is what it is. It's sports. It's New York. There's extra pressure, and I don't think that he's exempt from it because it's a tale as old as time. You name it. You name a superstar in New York, they have gotten a hard freaking time. It's just the way it is. Carmelo Anthony, for God's sake, couldn't do right for doing wrong. Hit 60 at Madison Square Garden, which was a record, and folk were like, yeah, we didn't have an assist. Shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? People are unhappy. People are miserable, right? It is what it is. So I'm sorry, ran over, but Aaron Judge is not exempt. That's my point. Just because he's a nice guy, he is not exempt. He's won nothing. So yeah, there's some criticism.
No, I don't think it was. It was just the crowd in San Francisco. They're Giants fans. That was the majority of the fan base. And this is also the team that gave him a very nice contract offer that he turned down to go back to the Bronx. I would boo him too if I was living in San Francisco. You had your chance to come home and you decided not to? Screw you now. I'm not giving you credit for anything. You know, I don't care if they would have done the same thing if Barry Bonds went to the Yankees and then made a visit to San Francisco. You know, it doesn't matter what the name is. It's the optic of that particular player. You know, it could have been Chaz Chisholm. You know, that was on the Giants and went and chose the Yankees over them. I think it would have been the same response. I don't think it was so much the player, but the online frustrations. I think that was complete overkill. You know, it's. I can see like if he's going into I forget who put it in the chat. That he's had, X amount of strikeouts in his last amount of, his last amount of plate appearances. Well, he's only had 5 plate appearances. He's got 4 strikeouts this year. I don't care what he did in the WBC. I don't care what he did in spring training. Those games don't count towards the World Series run. That's what matters.
That's true.
Right? Can we also talk about the other thing talking about streaks? And I'm kind of I got so much I wanted to. I wish we had a 4-hour fucking show, but can we also talk about Luis Ariz? How they kept referencing his hit streak going from the previous year, and I want to give a lot of credit to the broadcast booth. They would not acknowledge. They're like, no. Once the season ends, the streak stops. Matt Vasgersian was extremely on point about that. He's like, no, he's got a 1-game hitting streak. You know, he wasn't acknowledging the graphic of now he's hitting 16 straight major league games. No, he hasn't. The season ended. You can't carry the number over.
That's true.
So I want to give Matt Vasgersian, like the non-Yankee broadcasters get a lot of shit. I gotta give him his props for being honest about it. And not trying to pander.
Vasgersian's the best in the business, in my opinion. I think he's the best announcer.
He called the game very down the middle too. He didn't show favoritism. No. I look. Matt was great. CC was great. Hunter Penn. I would listen to a broadcast from them absolutely again.
And I also think that they're right in actually praising Arise because baseball has blacklisted Arise for whatever reason because he doesn't hit home runs. The dude bats
Like, how
300.
does this guy not get signed? Yeah.
Right. Guy hits. He might not have a huge OPS. It doesn't matter. That guy hits for average. He
Yeah, but he
bats
can't. Yeah,
over
his
300.
defense is suspect. But
Right. So he bats over 300. He's constantly on base, and then apparently that's a bad thing for a leadoff hitter.
Yeah.
You give me a freaking break. You know what I'm saying? He was the captain of Venezuela. They won. Give him his props. He deserves it. I think he's a very good player, and I think that I don't agree with baseball blacklisting him because he doesn't have home run numbers. Who gives a shit? What, are you going to pay Anthony Volpe because he hits 19, 20 home runs and strikes out 270 times a season and bats 190? Are you going to give him the money? You would rather have Anthony Volpe as opposed to Arias who bats like 330? Give me a break. So I like Arias and I don't care. I know. I think I don't know. I'm not saying that he should be a Yankee. I'm just saying in general he should be getting paid. He's a very good player to have at the top of your order. I'd have that 9 times out of 10. That's just my opinion.
Completely agree.
Yeah, no,
I mean, he's had 4 straight years of 150 plus hits. Tell me one player who's hitting 200 hits anymore. I mean, Robinson Cano and Derek Jeter used to do it on the annual. Name me one player. I could be wrong that has hit for 200 hits in recent years. As I said, I could be so wrong on this. You never, ever, 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 hardly. Maybe it was Aaron Judge last year. I could check. Name me one player who hits 200 hits in a season anymore. Ichiro used to do it on a daily. And obviously those players are gone and retired, but those type of players are extinct in MLB now because they're more concerned about home runs, this, that, and third. I mean, Aaron Judge had 179 hits last year, if I'm doing the math correctly. No, nobody's gotten close to 200 hits. No one. That should be revered. That should be still a marketable achievement. And it's not like the dude's has so many plate appearances where his average is low. No, this dude's hitting in the high 200s, low 300s. I still think that should be revered.
It is. The guys, for some reason, they've made it prehistoric to have a high batting average. It's not. It's a good thing. I think it's a very good thing, actually. There's so much to cover. But there was a lot of people that were actually questioning Barry Bonds. Let's go back in time a little bit. We were talking about Barry Bonds. There were still plenty of people in the chat. Elliot and also Healing Men's Hearts were doubting Barry Bonds' contention. So I've got Buster Olney's tweet here so he can confirm it. Context for Barry Bonds' George Steinbrenner story. George would sometimes work separately from his front office in possible trades deals without its knowledge. And if this happened during Bonds' first free agency, the conversation would have occurred at the time Steinbrenner was serving a lifetime ban. But there's a general assumption George was working around the rules. But then for some reason, he had to go and make things negative about George Steinbrenner. At that time, however, the Yankees were taking out after Steinbrenner's ugly stewardship of the A-League. Did you need to say that ugly stewardship of the lady? Anyway, that's I don't agree with saying that about the dead, especially a Hall of Fame dead. The previous year, Yankees had signed another outfielder, Danny Tartabull, who was represented by agent Dennis Gilbert, who also read Bonds. So anyway, that's your context, guys. It happened. He was just George was just working around the rules a little bit, and who doesn't? Who doesn't? You telling me the NFL don't have every GM in the league tampering minutes before,
sure.
days, weeks before free agency? Same with the NBA. It happens. Exactly. George was just ahead of his time. The guy's a boss, and I'll not have anyone say, ugly stewardship of the 80s. Well, how about that stewardship of the 90s where he won a dynasty, baby?
And I don't know if I should be insulted or happy that, when we do get an afternoon game today, but I think Celso wants us to get off the air because he's really in a rush to get the game going. I thought you had love for it, Celso. Why you want us to, don't rush us already. But no, I get the enthusiasm with today. We definitely want, look, we can't wait for the game. We're also going to have a little pregame with Chris Northrup on the short porch at 1:00. So make sure you tune into that. But look, am I surprised? Because Spencer put it in the chat earlier that the validity was a little off because the George Steinbrenner suspension. But yeah, you telling me George Steinbrenner? I agree. I think George he was very much cognizant that he was. I think he knew he was going to be coming back and wanted to get a jump start on getting players that he wanted. So yeah, did he work around under the table a little bit? Who wouldn't? It's Barry Bonds.
Right. I would have done the same thing. I just wouldn't have told him a 2 p.m. deadline. I'd just be like, please sign for us, please. Please. What will it take? I think it would have went a little bit better, but come on, Barry Bonds is not 96. He's not senile. He doesn't have memory problems. He obviously told the truth of what happened. I don't understand why anyone would doubt that. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it's a pretty interesting story, and that was a big win for Netflix to get that breaking news.
Yeah,
that's a big win for Netflix. They're like, shit, we got breaking news. Barry Bonds could have signed for the Yankees. So it was a big win. That interview worked out a beauty, and as to Luca's point, I would have loved that to have been longer. Maybe if they contacted the ads and were like, hey, for between half innings for the next 2 half innings, we're actually just going to focus on a Barry Bonds interview, but then we'll give you double the ads in the next set of innings, if you know what I'm saying. But they should have had a longer stretch of interview with Barry Bonds because that's really interesting. I mean, the guy is a home run champ. He's been X'd out of baseball. He's a legit Hall of Famer who's been X'd out of the game. I want to hear his thoughts. And he's in San Francisco for the first time. It's really interesting. And his father, Bobby Bonds, was a Yankee. So there's a lot of ties there. I think we should have had more of Barry. I'm a big Barry fan. I don't care.
Yeah. I think he's gotten the raw end of the deal because of the whole steroid era, but
yeah,
it's that like I said, that we've gone into that in the past. It's the topic for another day. We're celebrating the start of the Yankee season, and we'll close it out with this. To welcome Yankees Girl 161. Thank you for subscribing and joining the chat. Never changing my team. Diehard Yankee girl for life. Well, you are also now a Chronicles family member for life. Looking forward to seeing you throughout the chat this season. But somebody else is making their debut tonight for their first full season. It's Cam Schlittler. And I want to close it out with the optimism of Cam. What are we expecting from him tonight? Is he going to I expect him fully to piggyback off of Max Fried's outing. I think he does. He has that moxie about him, that aura, that the bulldog we thought we were getting with Rodon. I think we found with Cam that he's just going to feed off of the previous start, or right the ship. He just has that aura. So I think he's going to have a very strong outing. I think that they're definitely in tune to go 2-0. Don't know. So the offense is so hard to predict, as much as the pitching. But I think with the way that Cam went into that postseason, I don't think there's a lineup in baseball he's afraid of.
No. Why would he be?
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think take away from Schlittler for like a second. Robbie Ray he's a very good southpaw, but also he's very susceptible to the fly ball. I think the Yankees can take advantage of that.
Yeah,
I think this is Schlittler's chance to make I don't want to say good first impression because we already know what he's about, but like set the tone for his season. See what you can do against the Giants lineup. They're not exactly full of scrubs. They have some good hitters like Adames, Arias, Bader, Rafael Devers, for Christ's sake, Jung Ho Lee. So they have some solid bats in there. It's just like, how do you navigate it? I think Schlittler versus Devers is going to be like popcorn, in my opinion.
That's a great one.
Just keep that guy in the yard.
Should we predict stat line, first home run, and final score before we finish off?
Yeah, why not? We didn't get the home run last game, so let's run it back. Let's reset. You know what? I'm going to say Cam's stat line, his first start, afternoon game. I think that the sun may be an issue.
Oh, shit. That's right.
So I think Boone's going to, because he does want to get some of the bullpens on loosened up. Especially they have a lot of off days. So it gives Boone the ability to kind of play around with the pitching a little bit, which I'm not completely comfortable with. I'll say that. I'm not going to like it, but it is what it is. It's Boone. He loves his bullpen. I think we're going to get a solid 5 out of Cam. I don't think he's going to push him. I don't think he's going to push the young arm like he would with a veteran like Max Fried. Get the extra inning in a third. I can see him giving up 3 runs, no homers. I think he keeps them in the yard. He's a big outfield. It's hard to hit a home run there. And I think he leads the Yankees. I'm going to say it's going to be a 6-3 win for the Yankees tonight. I think the bullpen gives them zeros again.
All right, so Pats, I'm going to write it down. Once it's written down, that's it. There's no coming back.
That's it. Write it down, then I'll give you my first home run, and then we'll throw it to Luca.
See, who's hit the first home run?
I'm going with Judge this time. I think, opening day is over. I can see Judge just kind of like, oh yeah, you want to talk shit about me? Bam, fuck you.
I could see that too. I wouldn't put it past him.
I thought the same with Christian in game 1, so I'm going to keep the same mentality, just different player.
So I'll say first home run. I'm going to go Big G. In terms of a Schlittler stat line, I'm going to go 4 2/3, 7 hits, 4 strikeouts, and 3 runs.
3 runs. How many innings?
4 2/3.
4 2/3. All right. Okay. So you had to work for this one.
And final score prediction. I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants take back this game. I'm going to go 6-4 Giants.
So you have the Giants moving tonight. All right.
Let's go. Right. I'm going to go a shutout for Schlitt. But, there's probably going to be some walks in there. There's probably going to be some hits in there. He's probably going to have to work that pitch count up. But I still think he'll keep it at 0, but he'll be taken out after 5 1/3 or 5, because obviously partly because your first start is going to have a less of a pitch count. So I'm going to go 5 1/3 for Schlitt, no runs. I'm also going Big G for the first home run. Because he looks like he's the hottest of the lot right now, with the way that he was hitting the cover off the ball. So I'm going to go with Big G, the first home run, same with Luca. I'm going to say that the Yankees are going to hold on. The bullpen's going to give up 3 runs, and it's going to be ugly, but then it's going to get to Bednar, and then Bednar's going to put the fire out. So I'm going to go 4-3 Yankees. They're going to be up 4-0, comfortable in the 6th inning. Boone turns to his shitty bullpen, and that bullpen is going to implode for the next couple of innings, but then Bednar comes in and saves the day. So I'm going to go 4-3 Yankees.
All right. And like I said, it is in the book. So no backs.
Go back.
Nancy Barrel wants Tats' flag. So where can she find the flag like Uncle Tats?
This was definitely purchased. You can get it on Amazon. There's a whole selection of them. This is the one that my wife picked out that she liked a lot. I had the one last season that had the American flag design with the Yankees logo. That has been put in the archives. So
damn, send it over.
Oh, look, I have so much freaking Yankee stuff. Like in my little room here, I'm out of space. So when
I see this summer, studio, I might take some from you.
When I finished remodeling the studio downstairs in the basement, because now my youngest son has moved out. I got there's the whole basement apartment that I could really make a nice studio, which I was hoping to have ready for opening day. It just didn't happen. If there's something that I really just don't have room for, maybe during the All-Star break, maybe there'll be some giveaways.
Yeah, that's a good. I was thinking that's a good idea.
I have a lot, and I have a friend that always calls me with the strangest things, and I have some favorites that I'll never get rid of, that my kids have gotten me, like that stuff's off limits, but some stuff that my friends finds, and he'll call me, hey, I just happened to see this. All right, give me a price. We'll have to do some giveaways throughout the year once I figure out how I'm gonna collaborate the montage of the walls in the new studio. So keep an eye out for that. Another reason, maybe that'll be a members giveaway. Some of the big stuff.
There you go. There's an incentive to become a member of the Pinstripe.
Yeah, and so we'll leave that at that. Just make sure you tune in at 1:00. Make sure you come back, go out, get some lunch, and return for the short porch with Chris Northrup. She's got a phenomenal show lined up. As her words to me were this morning. So make sure you tune in. Chris always brings the fire, brings the game, brings her A game. So tune in 1 p.m. Before today's game. Hope you jump back in. With that, make sure you do hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out, your friends, your family. This changes on the corner. So this is Pittsburgh Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats, Donald, Luca, all of you fine people in the subscription chat. And make sure you always wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.